Dr. Elias Morran had spent years perfecting his device, an intricate lattice of wires and lenses designed to expand human perception beyond the known spectrum. His theory was simple. If the human eye could only see a sliver of reality, then something had to exist beyond it. He wanted to see it, to witness the unknown. The machine hummed as he powered it on, its core pulsing with a sickly bluish light. A helmet lined with electrodes fit snugly over his head, and as the device activated, the world around him shifted. At first it was a subtle change. The walls of his laboratory seemed to shimmer, the air thick with undulating distortions, like heat rising from asphalt. Then the colors bled, the edges of objects smearing into hues that had no name, that made his stomach lurch in a primal revulsion. Then he saw them. At the fringes of his vision, they slithered, formless things that coiled and writhed, their translucent bodies gliding through walls, through the floor, through his own body. They were not creatures of flesh, they were something else entirely, vast and thin, like living filaments of darkness, unfurling and retracting in an endless, hungry dance. He felt them before he fully saw them, a deep-rooted pressure in his skull, a clawing sensation in his gut, as if something inside him recognized them, something buried deep in the primal recesses of his DNA. They had always been there, lurking beyond sight, brushing against the edges of reality like spiders plucking their webs. One of them turned. It was not a movement in the traditional sense, but a slow, deliberate folding of space, as though the thing had noticed him not with eyes, but with an awareness so alien it sent his mind reeling. It stretched toward him, its impossible form distorting the light, casting jagged, writhing shadows where there should have been none. Then it spoke, not with words, but with a pressure that bore into his mind like a drill. It knew him. It had always known him. He tore the helmet off, gasping, but the things remained. The machine had opened a door, and doors, once unlocked, did not so easily shut. The walls of his laboratory pulsed, the corners oozing with undulating black tendrils, and the air reeked of something acrid, something alive. And then the whispers began. Not words, not thoughts, just hunger, a need, gnawing and vast. The things outside perception had been watching since the dawn of humankind, waiting for someone to look back. He had seen them, and now they saw him. The days blurred into feverish, restless paranoia. His apartment became a tomb of flickering lights and hastily drawn symbols, none of which helped. He stopped sleeping. How could he, when the moment his eyes closed, he felt them slithering closer? His skin grew pale and waxy, his eyes sunken and dark. Every surface rippled with unseen movement, the world reduced to a nightmarish haze of shifting spectral bodies. And then, the hallucinations, except they weren't. Objects moved when he wasn't looking. His reflection lagged in mirrors, twisting, contorting into something that wasn't him. The whispers grew louder. He felt their touch, impossibly thin fingers brushing his skin, curling against his throat as he sat motionless in his chair, afraid to move. He tried destroying the machine. He smashed the lenses, tore apart the wires, burned the schematics. It didn't matter. The door was open. They had seen him. And now, no matter where he went, no matter how much he tried to drown his senses in alcohol, in medication, in sheer denial, he saw them too. The final straw came when he caught his own shadow moving on its own. It no longer mimicked him. Instead it loomed taller, stretched wrong, twitching with slow, deliberate movements. It raised one jagged limb, a grotesque mockery of an arm, and pointed to the doorway. Something was coming through. He ran, but the walls of his apartment rippled like fabric. His breath came in ragged gasps, his vision swimming in impossible colors. The door to his bedroom was open. He was certain he had locked it. Inside, something waited. A shape, vast and amorphous, dripped from the ceiling, unraveling itself in jagged tendrils of shadow and bone. a gaping maw, lined with writhing needle-thin appendages, unspooled before him. Not a mouth, not eyes, not anything he could comprehend, but it saw him, and then it reached. The last thing Dr. Elias Morran felt was his body unraveling. Not torn, not devoured, but undone. His form unraveling into a filament of something lesser, something incomplete. The apartment was found empty, his research destroyed. But if one were to step inside, just for a moment, they might notice the walls shifting, the shadows moving just slightly too slow, the air heavy with an unseen presence, and if they listened closely, they might hear the whisper, waiting for someone else to look.